No.
All right, well, I think we will proceed with the citizens input. Mike, Mark, did you want to say something?
I do.
Yeah.
Mark Hagan. I'd like to call the council's attention to the minute book of the Board of County Commissioners, Salt Lake County, from the record, Wednesday, October 9th, 1940. And this is the minute as it reads. The Forest Service Department submitted an easement covering the construction of a garage and storeroom on the county's right-of-way in Alta, which has been previously approved by the board. And then it goes on to record the vote. That building is what's known as the Forest Service Garage, and coincident with this, there was at that time in 1940 a 50-year lease on the building granted to the Forest Service. Point being is that there's no indication that the Forest Service has anything there other than a leasehold situation from the county. The second one I'd like to bring your attention to is from July 16th, 1997, a letter I addressed to former Mayor Levitt. During the discussion of overnight parking at the town council meeting on July 10th, you referred to a road dedication from Salt Lake County dedicating the road above the gate at Grizzly Gulch to the town of Alta. Would you please provide me a copy of that dedication or direct me to the appropriate place in the public record to get a copy? And in the way of a reply, thus from Mr. Goldner, 2 days later. And he indicates, quote, I spoke with the mayor about your request. He felt that you may have misunderstood what he said about the summer road in last week's meeting. He feels that the road, once a Forest Service road, had been turned over to the town for all use and maintenance responsibilities, and that the Forest Service would be the appropriate place to find those records. The point being is that there continues to be no clear record regards why the town staff thinks that it's a Forest Service road. And given the amount of time, resources, both from the municipality and others before the municipality on public business, I think I would urge the council to sort this out and just review their records and indicate what they do rely on that indicates to them that it's Forest Service road. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
It's the brownie lady.
Yeah.
Margaret Berg. I just wanted to say that I like the chart that you put, Chris, in the staff report that shows the progress. And my only suggestion is, instead of having things in progress, because we know some of these things are years or maybe a decade out, that we put in when we know that in the next quarter, or we know that the water line is going to be this summer or the spring of 26, instead of just a general in progress, to put a little bit more detail in that. And then the chart would be much more meaningful, I think, to a lot of people for planning purposes. But otherwise, I like the fact that it's there. Thank you.
Okay, we don't have any more members of the public here for address it, so I guess we'll finish, unless there's somebody online. All right, let's go to the next item, which is Mike Mon. And I want to say right off that about 10 days, a week or 10 days ago, I was looking up the hill and I saw Supreme turning.
Yeah.
And I want to say
Yes.
congratulations.
Yes, you did. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just checking. Yes, Supreme is turning and it's actually passed its load test. It's ready to go. And Sugarloaf was redone this year, new motors and drives. It's passed its load test. It's ready to go. In fact, all of our lifts have passed their inspection and are ready for operation. We've also finished got the connection of the water line across the cross toe is now connected, and we are able to we're starting to fill those big pipes with water actually, and when we get some work done in the pump house we'll be able to start testing that snowmaking, but we're close to being able to have the snowmaking system up and running, so we're excited about that too. It's going on. The snow that we had this past week kind of slowed down the Albion Day Lodge project a little bit. They're hoping to pour tomorrow on the roof, about 200 yards of concrete, and then I think the 16th they'd pour the next level down, and the 22nd the third level down, and then that would enable them to start backfilling and trying to get our parking lots back to a usable state for the winter. The equipment storage building has one more pour of walls to do, and then they'll be able to start erecting steel. The goal is still to try to get a roof on that building and before we get into winter, but it's kind of up to Mother Nature, I think, on that regard. It's there. We're our target opening date, just as a reminder, is the Friday before Thanksgiving, November 21st. And this year we are open 1 week longer than we were last year at the end of this season. I think it's April 26th. I think it's that. Anyway, it's 1 week ending on a Sunday, a week longer than we were last year. Our sales, we're still kind of selling product and we're matching last year, just slightly ahead of last year, actually. In the Icon world, they're about flat. The Mountain Collective product is a little bit up. I think Vail Resorts is a little off of what I've heard a little bit. It's there. So we're looking for it looks like a promising season. We've touched base with a lot of the lodges, and most of their bookings are very close to where they were last year, maybe a little ahead in some cases. So, if the snow comes, we look like we're going to have a great start to the season.
Need to snow.
Yeah, well, we'd be okay if it waited a couple weeks.
Absolutely would. Mike, I wanted to ask about you talked about all the lifts are ready to go. The Alta Lodge lift doesn't seem like it's ready. Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, that's correct. I overlooked that. We are installing a new toe there. It's a raisable toe. The toe we had there before did not go up and down, and was posing a problem, to get it shoveled out and snow removal and some safety concerns of trying to stretch that cable out of the way so you could plow underneath of it. And so this year we're replacing that. The new handle toe that will be there will be similar in nature to the one that was before, but it will be raisable, and it's here, and we should be in the next week or two getting that thing installed and ready to go.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. All right. Good job.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, and thanks again for working through us with all of these things. It's like a war zone sometimes over there in the Albion parking lot.
Oh, it sure is.
Hopefully they'll get that sewer line done and that back to that. That's been a challenge.
You want to mention the little glitch you had over there?
With the sewer?
Yeah, oh, yeah, with the digging down and upsetting something?
Yeah, well, the couple of things is the sewer, had to be dig quite deep. And as they started to dig that, we found the soils were not compacted. And while they're trying to dig a, 12-foot deep trench or whatever that thing is or more, and have it only be the width of a excavator bucket, the soils are so unstable, they've been caving in. And so they've had to put a lot of those boxes in that kind of hold the walls. And then they thought that, I think they had the water department come up and blue stake the water line. And I guess instead of blue staking the main line, they blue staked the line that went to the Albion Day Lodge for fire suppression. And so the guys digging the sewer actually found and hit the water line. And so this last weekend and this week we've had some issues. They hit it the first time and we were out of water on that end there for a few days, and then they had a little bit of a collapse of the trench and hit it again and pulled out the new fitting. But I think they've got it now up and running with a new flange and new meter in there, and so or valve in there. So hopefully we're past that.
Yeah. Hard to tell what's under the ground. Okay, anything else, Mike? Great, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Questions regarding the staff reports? Department reports? John or Elise? No, okay.
I had one little comment on the minutes. This would be an appropriate time to discuss that.
Yeah,
You actually, John, do you wanna just wait a couple minutes till the next agenda item?
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever is easiest for you.
Yeah. That would be great, thank you.
all right.
But Chris has his hands.
Oh, Chris has his hand up, yes.
Excuse me. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to make one comment about. I know I have a note in the staff report about what we've been up to at the Alta Planning Commission. We are proceeding towards a notice of public hearing for the Planning Commission to consider a recommendation to adopt the Wildland Urban Interface Code and make a minor amendment to section 9.3 preservation of vegetation during development in the October 22nd Planning Commission meeting. And in the interest of not getting too far ahead of the council on land use stuff, I just wanted to let you all know that we are writing up another really minor amendment to section 10.1.9. This is a section that requires us to have a public hearing at the council when we do a land use ordinance amendment, to give the notice 15 days in advance, and then to post a notice in a quote unquote newspaper of general circulation within the town when we do a land use change. The reason for this amendment is that the big one is that publication in a newspaper of general circulation used to be required in state code, but it has not been for a little while, and most entities aren't doing it. It's very difficult to post a notice in the newspaper. You can only do it like 2 days a week at the Tribune. And so it just puts this very difficult scheduling. It makes the scheduling confusing. So I think the amendment we're going to seek here is to remove that the newspaper publication requirement, and then probably to change the time period requirement so that it matches the statutory requirement for a planning commission public hearing to 10 days. So I just wanted to let you all know that we're going to talk to the planning commission about this, about trying to bring this requirement a little bit more into line with the way it works. I would just point out that this town council public hearings for land use changes are not required in state code. Planning commission public hearings are required. I think at this point it makes sense to continue to do town council public hearings for land use amendments since we don't do that many of them. At this point. So just a heads up that in the October 22nd meeting, the commission would consider a recommendation to the council on an amendment to this code section.
You want to make sense?
Yeah, Chris, as long as you raised that, I did read some of the stuff today. I noted that you were looking for an exemption for having to plant trees on people's lots, which I think is really important, given the size of some of the lots or mining claims. But something that I also wanted to call your attention to is it's not clear to me that the houses where I live, and there are 2 undeveloped lots there, would qualify to be developed because they need to have appropriate water access and they need to have appropriate fire engine access. And I'm not sure we qualify that. So you might want to take a look at that before you make your final recommendation.
Yeah, it's a good point, Craig. That has occurred to me. I don't know how much leeway we have that we're required to adopt the urban interface code. And so because of that, yeah, we're required to make the adoption, and how much leeway we have to amend it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at it, see if you interpret the same way I do, then figure out if we can get amendment. And if we can't get amendment, I think at the very least, we need to notify the property owners of the undeveloped lots that they may run into a problem building there.
Thanks.
Yeah. Great. Okay, anything else on departmental reports? Now let's go to the meeting, approval of the meeting minutes, and John have that.
I guess I
Oh, I'm sorry.
wanted to
Mike
hear,
was gonna say something.
that's what I was hoping. I want to hear about your big news.
The big news.
Oh, a hiring?
Yeah. I want to hear about him.
Oh,
Is he here?
no, Virgil.
He's not.
Yeah, he's got you.
Let me start by saying, we are really excited to have Virgil coming on board with this. He's been in law enforcement for over a decade. Most recently with the Joab County Sheriff's Office. I will tell you that this has been the most difficult search for employees I've ever experienced since I've worked here. We tried to do everything that we think we should to find somebody that's the right personality for our community. We've had Virgil up to meet every one of the deputies in person to make sure that we're giving them the thumbs up in unison, and so far that's been the case. We're gonna see him in the town office for onboarding next Wednesday morning. And we're going to accelerate his training as fast as we can and get him ready for the ski season. I think that a lot of things that we do routinely up here, he will be doing for the first time ever. When it comes to the unique snow safety challenges in Lower Cottonwood Canyons. He's coming to us with what we think is a good amount of investigative and patrol experience, and not only are we hoping to teach him out, but we're hoping he can teach us a couple of tools of the trade, down in the flatlands. We're pretty excited, very excited. And it comes at a challenging time. And Mayor, I know you might be asking me about this later, but we do have an employee who's been injured on duty, who we expect is going to be out for a considerable amount of time. I'm not gonna say much beyond that. So Virgil coming on now is gonna go a long way to help us fill that void. Our ultimate goal is to get up one more level of staffing. And that we're still pushing towards that, but sometimes life gets in the way.
Yeah, I think we look forward to meeting virtual.
Well,
I'm sorry for your injured employee. It's been
Yeah.
Terrible.
pardon me,
I'm sorry for your injured teammates.
we're all, rooting for the best outcome there, so thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this topic? Let's go to approval of meeting minutes, and John, you're ready to go? Or say something?
Yeah, I didn't, I read the minutes again today and I watched the video of the Sharon's State presentation. Overall, I think the minutes are great and just fine. The only thing that bothered me was in the last paragraph. In response to Hartman, I think the first sentence is correct. Toward the end of the discussion, Hartman reiterated the developer's objective, which was they were seeking guidance from the council if we could accept the condo project as proposed, and he was speaking with respect primarily to height. And then the original response there was the council acknowledged that this was the beginning of a detailed process and additional work sessions would be required to resolve the issue. Didn't really capture the fact that we were pretty negative in response to his direct question, and I think we were trying to give him the direct answer he was looking for. Four of the five of us each made an independent statement saying they had a significant problem with the height of the building. This is where Dan said he didn't like the look of the building. Roger made a comment as to its location, being on the edge of the built-up area. Elise made a comment, and I also made a comment that, the building height, which was a big problem with the planning commission, that was a significant issue, and he wasn't seeing. I just want to make sure we were all seeing the reality of the situation, which was they weren't getting any support from any of us on the building height issue. And I didn't feel like the minutes captured that. It seemed like the minutes were just a little too positive. Like we had said, oh yeah, we didn't answer your question directly, and we'll just deal with that in a subsequent work session. That's not really what happened. And so I'm not married to the words that I sent Jen. I don't know if she has them there or she's going to put them on the screen, or whether we just want to drive towards a different set of words. But I think my response is, in an overall sense, and in response to Herman's direct question regarding our willingness to approve the project as presented, little or no support was shown for the proposal as presented. The council focused on the building height issue as a significant problem, along with the condo aspect, water availability, and access to the property. Then I sort of dovetailed in the last of her sentences. The council acknowledged this was the beginning of a detailed review process, and additional work sessions would be required to resolve these issues prior to approval of their upzone request, should the applicant elect to continue pursuit of the upzone. So I think I kept what Jen was saying in place, but I inserted a little bit of a reality check that there was no positive response from any of us with respect to the building height issue. And I think that was specifically what he was looking for. So I think not to include that when it's clearly there, if you go listen to the YouTube, is actually doing them a disservice. He was asking for, could I just get a bottom line on this issue from you guys? And we gave him a bottom line. And I'm just suggesting that the minutes capture that a little more effectively.
So
Yeah.
so John sent me an email earlier this afternoon, and I took a stab at reworking the minutes with something that I felt comfortable with. Obviously it's the council's purview to adopt, you adopt the minutes as you see fit. So there's a track changes version on your screen in front of you. And I'm not, I guess there has to be draft minutes that go out, but if we don't feel that this addresses the council's concerns on updating the minutes, we could probably spend more time on them if we needed to and adopt them at the next meeting.
Well, I think John has a good point, which is that the minutes don't really capture the sense of the group that we didn't like the height. I mean, as you,
Among things.
yeah, among other things, but.
And there's paragraphs before this.
Yeah,
too,
that's
right. There are,
That's
like,
right.
if we
This
scroll
is,
up,
this is the.
Yeah, but
There-
this moment was a specific moment in the meeting at the end of the discussion is what we're trying, where we all 4 or 5 of us said, you know, the height issue is a big issue. You're not getting any positive vibe from us. There are comments earlier in the document, but this was a very pivotal moment in the meeting. And I feel like that nature of that moment needs to get captured in the minutes.
so I guess what I could do is I could go back and listen to that again.
I think that's the best thing because you can go back to the source. We're all talking about it and I think we're all in agreement. But I think if you go back to the source, you're better armed to address John's point. And I think that would give us something to put
Yeah,
on
and
next.
just to remind the council, minutes are not verbatim, they're a summary of the discussion, they should accurately reflect kind of what was happening, but there was no vote. So I wanted to be careful about presupposing, but if you don't feel like your opinions were elaborated enough in these, then I can take another stab at it.
I should take a stab at it and we'll execute it next month.
And I agree, I guess I would say that on your rewrite, the underlined comment, the council also indicated they would need more time or information. I don't think any of us indicated that we would need more time or information, we need
Oh, well, I think.
none of us supported it, no more time thinking about it, no more information about how high they wanna keep the building. Is gonna change it for us, none of us.
No, but I think part of the time metric was.
I probably did tell them a couple times that I wasn't final on my answer, that I would need time. So I don't know if Jen was to go back and listen to the minutes, I don't think I was going to tell them no. I just said that I need time to think about this. It's a big topic. So I'm not sure. I think Jen just needs to go back and listen to the minutes because, like I said, I never really told them no. I just said that I needed a lot of time and this was a big, big topic for us.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
fair.
was true generally to the whole proposition. I think you said that actually a couple of times. But on this one point with respect to height, I guess I feel like we're doing them a disservice not to give them the straight answer they were looking for. And as Roger says, and Carolyn says, I think there was good unanimity. Probably the best would be if you guys went and listened to it again. And I'm happy to delegate my wordsmithing to Dan or whoever wants to be the wordsmith. But I do think we need to get in there that at that moment, all of us said to them, the height isn't going to work for you on this building.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to just keep stringing them along, spending dollars and dollars and dollars when we know we're not going to get past this height issue.
Yeah.
Okay, Craig wants.
Not for the minutes, but raised by your discussion, in my role as the town treasurer, it's my job to be paranoid. So, I've been working on the dark side myself. One of the things that I did note is that every time I've heard the Schwartz discussion, our people are focused on the water. And yet, we don't control the water. They're gonna come up with a study or whatever. And my concern is the following, is that they get this thing passed, they get whatever water support they have to. And then people buy their condos and they use more water. And then they decide, and then they get upset because when you buy a house or a condo, you expect you're gonna have water. So they're gonna sue someone. And who are they gonna sue? Well, they're gonna sue us because at that point, that company's gonna have no assets and they're gonna declare bankruptcy. So I did put on my best creative thinking cap. And I thought about, well, we require them to post a bond and all this other stuff, and none of them are going to pass that bankruptcy test stuff. The only thing that I could come up with was we would require anybody purchasing a condo to sign something saying they understand that their water is limited, and they do not have the right to sue the town of Alta if we end up shutting off the water or something like that. I haven't checked that with the lawyers, I'm just raising it as a liability issue that we need to think carefully about before approving anything. And
Yeah, and I
Because I'm
think
not-
water's clearly on the list and not going off the list for a while. But now what we're talking about what was actually said at last month's meeting. And I think
yeah,
if you go
I know, it
and
doesn't
watch the
belong in the minutes.
YouTube,
I agree,
you're gonna,
Charlie.
we should just focus on that one narrow point. What was actually
Yeah.
said in this moment?
Right. Yeah.
And try
I
to
don't think, I
catch
don't think
that.
Frank is suggesting a change in the minute. I'm not just saying this is something that we need to be vigilant about.
Yeah,
Cameron's raising.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay,
Sorry if I
I'm-
misunderstood your comment there, Craig.
yep.
Cameron wanted to say something? Is that right?
I think we're just going off a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to, if I could, on the minutes. This to me seems like something that we could fix right now during the meeting instead of having staff and the council spend more time on. Just to clarify, the record of the meeting is the recording. The minutes do not create a separate truth of what occurred. And so I agree they should be accurate, but I think given the discussion, if the council is okay with adding a statement that the council was generally not in favor of the proposal because of the height, that seems like that would cover everything. And there's really nothing in the minutes that will change the record of the recording. The recording is the record. Those are the facts of what occurred. And so the minutes aren't going to change that, regardless of what we put in there. We could put in the minutes that the council was in favor, and it wouldn't change what was actually said, or give legal issue about rights or anything from the meeting. So anyway, just wanted to clarify what the purpose of the minutes and the effect of the minutes.
All right. So let's do that. Let's do what he suggested.
Yeah, do you want, since you've got it up, can you tack on that and just add, and I think we'll make some specificity to the height as the primary concern. Kind of, and that, in addition to the other wording that John gave you and you've already put in here, that might just get us there. And I think we can.
Primary
Yeah,
concern
my
is a little too
sense this
soft.
starts with, while in an overall sense and in response to Hartman's direct question, our willingness to approve the project as presented, little to no support was shown for the project, for the proposal as presented based on the height of the building. Just throw that out. I'll leave you guys to wordsmith it up. Whatever you guys want is fine with me. And I do recognize that the recording speaks for itself, so.
Jen,
But
do
I
you
think
wanna?
I'm fine with fixing it now, though.
Do you care?
So, didn't mean to interrupt you, Dan.
I would prefer to have more time.
Okay.
Yeah, let's,
Just to make sure
so
we get
to Cameron's point, you know, like getting it off Jen's plate, Jen just expressed that more time would be better because she thinks she can more accurately and appropriately put some wording to that. And we'll just do it next month.
Yeah.
That's her preference too.
Okay.
And Craig, I think it's okay to bring your paranoia to this side of the table.
Problem is, I'm normally an optimist, so it stretches me.
Let the record show that Dan approves of great paranoia. Okay, I think we've dealt with that element of the minutes. Do we need a motion to approve the staff and finance reports?
And the September 4th, town council strategic planning retreat.
Yes, okay.
It would be great to approve those if those look
Very
good.
I move that we approve the September 4, 2025 Town Council Strategic Planning Retreat Meeting minutes. And the October staff and finance reports.
Okay, I second that. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
aye.
All right,
Yes.
Can we get a couple of
motion passes. All right, I think
And town council meeting minutes of September 10 to be approved next town council meeting.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay,
Thank you.
the mayor's report. I'm very sad to report that the mayor of Mill Creek, Jeff Silvestrini, is retiring prior to the end of his term for health reasons. Jeff has been an intellectual and moral leader for the greater community for many years. He stood up for civil and individual rights. Plus, he's been a champion for those who are in difficult circumstances. I've admired him. Excuse me. I've admired him as a pillar of the community in a world which is often neglected of many of those around us. Last week, Chris Nolley and I attended the Utah League of Cities and Towns annual conference in Salt Lake City. One element of those conferences isn't really on the program, is networking. I find it valuable to meet other people in analogous situations and learn what their issues are and how they're dealing with them. Plus, there are regularly scheduled workshops and forums like the Resort Caucus. I came away feeling, or at least hoping, that I can do a better job as a result of this experience. At the conference, Chris Long and I met with UTA board chairman and their government relations manager. We came away with the realization that UTA will storm our service in Alta in the foreseeable future. Disappointing. The enhanced bus service is called up in the UDOT EIS is entirely up to UDOT as to how and when it would be implemented. The understanding is that UDOT is prevented from proceeding until litigation is settled. My guess is that we won't see any improvement in public transportation to Alta for at least 3 years. Also at the conference, I attended a rural caucus session where the issue of visitors disproportionately consuming emergency services while property owners paying for them was acknowledged. It was widely recognized that this is the case, but it hadn't gone up, hadn't risen to get to legislative priority. Flash, Sunday, September 28th, 7 p.m. Winter in the fall. Red Snake fully developed and backed up well east of Hellgate on the bypass road. Few Alta visitors affected this because there were few Alta visitors, period. But it looked like a typical February weekend. A great attraction of living in the Wasatch Front is the proximity of these beautiful mountains and canyons. But if accessing them becomes unbearable and the attraction is lost. Sooner or later, the limitations of these places has to be recognized. Alta ski lifts in the town, I think, have done a good job of addressing this in winter with parking reservations. The neighbors, not so much. The first snow of the season was October 3rd. The contrast between the new snow and the autumn leaves is, I can only describe it as indescribable. The Estrada State has indicated they will present to the town council a petition to rezone a portion of their property at the November town council meeting, as Chris announced. The first road meeting of the season is scheduled for November 12th, prior to our next town council. Utah League and City and Town has a motto, which is on this hat they gave me, which is cities work. Part of their swag. I think the same description applies to this committee. Despite coming from different agencies with different agendas and priorities, this group comes together with a common commitment to keeping Little Cottonwood Canyon Road open, serviceable, and safe throughout the winter. And Mike is really the spiritual leader of that activity. And so, with my years, spiritual leadership.
Yeah, when I think spirituality, I think.
Okay, the astronomy report. You may read this little headline that's on the screen. In a rock on Mars, NASA sees clearest signs of life so far. I want to point out that Mars is a very hostile place. The atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide. The pressure on the surface is about the same as that on Earth at 100,000 feet elevation. It is so dry that if one were to concentrate all the water in a column that goes up to the top of the atmosphere, it would have a depth of 10 to 20 microns, which is about a quarter the diameter of a human hair. The chemistry of the surface is highly oxidizing. Your boot soles would be attacked by the soil, and there's no magnetic field. So unlike Earth, where incoming cosmic rays are deflected by the magnetosphere, they impact the surface. Even if you were the Earth's richest individual, your life expectancy, if you stepped out on a Mars surface, would be measured in seconds. But so it's a cold, dry place. Okay. Oh, that photo. There's little dots in that photo that are a mineral, which may have been created by ancient life when Mars was wet. And we'll get to Mars being wet sometime in a moment. But what it looks like today is not only this, but the next slide, which is a cold, dry place. Okay, and I mean it's rather beautiful, but you wouldn't want to be there. Jezero. How could I tell? A couple of billion years ago, it was warm and wet, and running water carved this canyon, which is in the next slide, which is 4,000 kilometers long. This is a canyon that stretches across the United States. And in the period, so in this period, there was a lot of water around, and it was running, and there were conditions that might, and I want to emphasize, might have supported life. So finding evidence, even putative, that life may have existed then is pretty interesting. And with that, I'll announce the next scheduled meeting is November 12th at 4 p.m.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So at the meeting that you all went to,
Yes.
and you sort of heard that UDOT's not gonna enhance the traffic in
Bus service.
in bus
UTA,
service.
actually UTA.
Yeah.
I heard that perhaps it's being increased in Big Cottonwood Canyon, and there's tolling going on in Big Cottonwood Canyon. Was that discussed at your meeting?
It was not. Chris was there too. We really didn't talk about Big Cottonwood Canyon. We only talked about Little Cottonwood Canyon. And the guy who was the chairman of the board of UTA did not speak for UDOT, but he represented, his understanding was that any changes here were held up by the litigation. You want to say anything about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's public, it's been announced publicly that all three lawsuits are in discussion with UDOT to try to get around that issue of having the lawsuits hold up enhanced busing type services. So my expectation is that we'll know whether that negotiation has been successful or not sometime certainly before the end of the year, and possibly as soon as next 6 weeks.
And is it true about Big Cottonwood Canyon that they are enjoying?
Yeah, and if you ask UDOT or UTA about it, they'll go to lawsuits, which is why we're trying to remove that as an obstacle. By the way, our legal reading is that the lawsuits don't impede it, but UDOT is not convinced of that, so we're trying to get over that hurdle.
Speaking of analogous situations, that like, there's not a whole lot of difference between 10 and next door.
It's silly.
But to answer your question, I believe UDOT is conducting their own EIS for Big Cottonwood Canyon. I don't know where they are in the process. Chris might have more of an update, and I don't believe any decisions have been made, but I know that's something that they're working towards. I've not heard anything happening for this winter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's correct. There's nothing happening for this winter, and my
understanding has been all along that nothing will happen in tolling would not be implemented until it's ready to be implemented in both Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon, and that enhanced bus service will not be provided until there's tolling. So I think until we know something's going to roll out here, or excuse me, in Little Cottonwood, that it's unlikely anything would in Big Cottonwood. Something that the UTA board chairman was describing was that it takes UTA 1 year to get one bus. They place an order for a bus and it takes a year to show up. So if UDOT is purchasing 50 to 100 buses, it's reasonable to assume that would take longer than a year. So some of the elements of the enhanced bus service have pretty long lead times to roll out. So I know that it does, yeah, it, like Roger said, it doesn't seem like anything is in the offing in the next couple of years, but that once they get, you know, some path forward with respect to the EIS litigation, that things will start to occur.
But not necessarily start to occur in terms of more buses will show up. Will start to occur until in terms of their developing a coherent plan, you might say. Yeah, go ahead.
With regard to disproportionate burden on our property owners for emergency services, have we approached Galen on this about that, and maybe get it elevated to the legislative level at the state, which is, I think, the best place to maybe get some relief? Have we?
Yeah, that's the only place to get some relief.
That I agree. We should probably at some point. I recommend that we engage with her. I don't know how well she looks for re-election. Probably pretty good, but
no, she's not going to be re-elected. She's running for mayor in Scotland.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. So we don't know who that person.
So after, yeah, that's right. So after this election is settled, we'll figure out who our representative is, which could be Galen, because her term doesn't expire for another 2 years.
If she doesn't get elected.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so just food for thought for us. I think for us, regardless of that. And that might be something we could cobble together through these combined bodies with, I mean, Little Cottonwood's gonna feel the same, but Big Cottonwood's gonna feel the same way. I think we'll find others.
In fact, what I got from this, I introduced this, was the whole room had the same problem.
Right, of course.
And so that is that the emergency services were being consumed by not the people who were paying for them, but by the visitors.
Did nobody raise the issue of the use of the disproportionate use tax to address that issue?
Nobody raised that, no.
Okay. Because I'm surprised. It seems like that's what it's designed for.
Yeah, I
think if we should just start chewing on that and engage on that in the near future.
I think I will go back to Todd Godfrey, who's the counsel for the league, and start chewing on him a little more. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one comment specific to that. I would.
Thanks, you were just a little far back.
Yeah, I would just encourage you to maybe reach out to your county council representatives that represent town of Alta.
Start there.
Yeah, I don't know how that affects law enforcement, but some of the money that is from the county that goes towards supporting fire service, medical service within the canyon areas is one of those areas that could be jeopardized.
Yeah, and it was a great briefing we got from the county EMS.
Yeah, the Chief Burchett's working on trying to work with the county on a plan on how to preserve those funds, but it's a little up in the air. So I'm gonna reach out to your council representatives as well to weigh in.
And do you think that also comes with opportunity space then for collaboration and strengthening a united position?
I think so.
Okay, because that's what I see in that, rather than the risk of cannibalizing.
Right in some of the south canyons and either canyon areas that, you know, you have a lot of visitation, obviously, and those are the users of a lot of the emergency services. Parley's Canyon, a lot of the emergency services that are called upon in Parley's Canyon are commuters or large trucks that are traveling on the interstate that require service, but they're not residents of Salt Lake County for the most part.
Well, what I inferred from this transaction, Jay, was this is not a regional issue, this is a statewide issue.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
I think that's where the strength comes from too. I think we have a greater probability of traction because everybody's struggling with that, and with such a large increase in population continued in the forecast.
yeah,
I think we've got a good legs to stand on.
problem is not gonna get better on its own.
No. But it makes it easier to distribute that burden. It's more humans.
Okay, I wanna make sure that I was in no way doing any aspersions on the emergency service.
So not,
Okay,
no.
okay, got it. It's just who pays for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even spiritually.
Yeah. All right, discussion about adding a full-time facility manager position to our employees' portfolio. Who is,
Well, Chris was gonna give this, I'm gonna stand up, Chris would stand up. Chris was gonna give this presentation, and just because he's remote, he's asked for my help today in it. But he might chime in if I don't quite get it. He's perfect. Here I spent, oh, she's thinking hard. Good thing I know it. So the town has long had part-time seasonal building maintenance positions. If you think of like Steve McIntosh, you know, was in a building maintenance position with the town for years or something. And really, I would say, since he kind of departed from the town, we've really, and even for other reasons, but we've really struggled to annually or seasonally even get employees on board with the town. Retention, you know, I know Molly's now in this position where she's doing the hiring for these positions. Chris and I have, you know, worked very closely with this, and it's really, really difficult. We are biting our nails every fall. Oh my gosh, are we gonna have somebody to shovel our facilities? We've lucked out in the past couple of years. We've had staff, we've found part-time people that've done a great job for us, but they typically last a season. You know, from my perspective, and I'm getting a little off script here, but you know, we're also talking about a lot of facility work at the town. It would be great to have an employee on board now that specializes in this area that can help us with the planning process of these new facilities. Where they're just gonna be better all for it if you have a person that's involved in the process. So this slide really is just geared towards you know, starting to think about a job description in a little bit more detail. You know, we have pulled what the pay rates are from the wage study to kind of indicate there what a range might be. Brooke, if you want to fast forward maybe to the next slide. Yeah, this is probably the slide that addresses what my intro really just was, listing just really the challenges that the town has had in fulfilling these seasonal part-time positions. We just think it would be so much better to have someone with a stronger skill set that's here full-time, year-round. The addition of a new facility, Our Lady of the Snows, certainly also adds to that for us.
Can you go back to the slide? I couldn't read the last, many part-time staff decline to return for season.
So we just have a lot of changeover. We're
Okay.
lucky if we get 2 seasons out of someone in these positions.
Because it's literally back-breaking work.
It is backbreaking,
Shoveling,
yes.
moving the snow.
And I do wanna be clear, we don't believe that if we hire a full-time building maintenance person, that we wouldn't also hire some part-time staff to help with snow removal. There will still also be some part-time staff needs, but they just won't be as much. Yeah, you can just go forward, Brooke.
So tell me what else is involved in building maintenance besides snow shoveling that you guys?
So if you think of all of our facilities, there's changing out lights, there's changing out trash, there's recycling, there is park facilities that happen in the summer. There is, cleaning tasks, there is just maintenance and knowing what's going on in a building and helping Wally and Chris with actually planning. We have been just planning on stuff when it's like almost at an emergency state, and it's like, oh, it's already broken. Instead of being preemptive and caring for our buildings in advance. That's kind of how I see it.
So you think there's 40 hours a week of maintaining all these buildings?
Of maintaining the buildings, yeah, I do. And planning.
And
Would this
shoveling.
include-
Yeah.
And it's
I
one of
get
the complaints we got
part, for sure.
when we took all our comments on, what the town can and can't do. People were pointing out, wow, you're not even replacing the lights. Well, it's a prioritization, shovel first, safety, and then do lights and electrical replacement and things like that. I think that's just an example of things we already got as input from people.
And so, and to answer your question, we do envision this position to be a planning position in addition to like the physical hands-on work that it takes. There also would be some planning aspects of it too.
So right now, the 4 of you are dividing that 40 hours a week, so you guys are spending.
We have part-time staff that's doing some of it, but we're not keeping up with it, and we're not doing it to a level that we think we should be. And other staff are doing things that are probably not in their job descriptions.
Okay,
Mike wanted to say something.
Yeah, please.
sorry, and I.
No, this is a full staff
I'm
effort.
kind of-
Oh, no.
I'm just kind of like, so there's 40 hours of work out there that you guys are doing. And now we're gonna hire somebody, so that's why I'm trying to wrap my head around, so right now, when you guys say we have part-time work. How many hours are you paying somebody to do part-time work? And so that's just the kind of thing I'm trying to wrap
No,
my
great.
head around.
Great questions. I'll let my statement know.
Well, and I would, my take on the question you just asked is. When we have a part-timer available, we keep them busy. And we still won't get the punch list accomplished. I just wanted to point out that in addition to the town office needs. Our shop relies heavily on maintenance personnel when we have them employed. Things like our emergency backup generator maintenance, the weekly testing, we frequently, get into some heavy lift projects, having that manpower around. One of my goals is to have a more comprehensive and cohesive signing system in the town where, we just don't have like construction zone all the time. And we could use some help from somebody whose job is to maintain facilities, and so it's all of our infrastructure is widespread, and I just wanted to tell you all we would be asking for some of that employees' time and could use them.
So I wanna make an observation to both of you then in that same vein. So when you say, oh, this is what we're doing, to me, you are the public service and law enforcement. And you're doing these maintenance things that are normally covered in a civil organization, by the maintenance people, but you guys are doing them. And when I hear you say, we have people doing things that are probably not in their job description. I refute your statement. They are not in your job description. They're not. So I think that's a better way to frame it. If we're talking about a requirement to the town council, to me, those aren't probabilities. Those are things that we can define them clearly and say, this is what we're doing.
We also see a lot of utility and opportunity in, having somebody that's reliably here, cross-trained on some emergency functions, cross-trained as a water system operator and things like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like the Steve McIntosh 2.0.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
you lose a lot when you have employee turnover. And it's really been challenging for us, you know, bringing new employees on and keeping the history. You know, this is just with the buildings that we have, it's quite difficult to just plug and play an employee. I mean, Molly's been learning a lot about these facilities and how they operate. But to bring in these part-time seasonal people and have them pick off from where somebody would, it's not the same. And we're not treating our buildings with the same care that we should be.
And I think you're hiring a different person. The social aspect of how it feels to a human is, we're hiring you for a season to do snow, and we're gonna make you do these other things. That's different than we're hiring you to be building maintenance, which includes, or facilities maintenance and, you know, and care includes snow removal. One is snow removal, the other is.
It's a more professional, mature position.
Yes.
That we're envisioning for this person, and then.
We're not hiring a grunt.
Right,
Yes.
which is what we get now, is they stay for a season, and I get to ski, I'm up here, it's a country club day, and so I'm done shoveling, I can run over and make a run.
Well, all the associations, all the condo developments, everyone here has a facilities manager, and it makes such an incredible difference. Because they know the building intimately and
Yeah.
extends, and so ultimately it's cheaper. So I'm all for it. I'm just curious, like, where all that labor's been, if there's like just all of a sudden this 40-hour, that's the thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. And then I'm envisioning this facilities manager is gonna subcontract out additional snow removal people and cleaning people, and that they're gonna have an administrative role as well. Or employees looking for them, subcontractors looking for them.
Hey, do you mind if I just interject and respond to Carolyn's question about where's this 40 hours been? I guess what I would say is that it's not been getting done.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, there's a certain amount of bare minimum keeping up with it that's been getting done, but you know, people are right to observe that a couple of our buildings are not in tip-top shape, and that is because we haven't been able to retain people, we haven't been able to keep people around in shoulder seasons, and so forth. So I guess I want to offer that we are confident there's 40 hours a week in a world where we're actually keeping up with the demand. And another thing I would point out is that we haven't managed to retain employees over the longer term since Steve left. And that's left us without expertise. So there's having the manpower, but then there's also having expertise, and, you know, at the risk of oversharing, one of our deputy marshals is our most qualified person on staff. And we also get a fair amount of help from Alta Skiria folks when it comes to technical needs on our facilities and equipment. And that's to some extent like how stuff gets done in a small organization, in a small municipality. You kind of help out where you have expertise or a willingness to pitch in, but it's not necessarily safe in a number of ways. So.
Do you wanna go to the next topic? Yeah, so I mean, I think we've hit on this stuff, but you know, the retention, the knowledge that you get from employees being retained for more than 6 months. I mean, Chris hit on it, but yeah, there are certain things that are not getting done, Carolyn, Councilman. So we're trying to, we've identified a void and we're trying to fill it with the suggestion to the council. Basically, that's where we're at. So we can skip to the next slide. So what we've done.
Can I comment on that last slide?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you can back it up for me.
This one.
Yeah,
or the
it's
one
the
before?
40 hours during the winter if it's not snowing. One guy never runs out of work. Never. 20 years, 30 years, one guy never runs out of work. I mean, we have that much deferred maintenance and that much just normal ongoing maintenance. Even if he caught up the deferred maintenance, he or she caught up the deferred maintenance, just the ongoing maintenance, they never run out of work. And then, you know, this is not as unskilled a position, particularly if he's going to be supervising, he or she's going to be supervising. Then also, managed a lot of office in my life, and just finding a guy that can replace the lights is a big deal. And light bulbs are tricky, man. And you know, that can't just be some, you know, some fish fan who fell off the tour or something is going to come and rescue us for the winter. It's got to be somebody that's serious about their skill set. And they were also saying they're going to supervise somebody. So, and then you really hit a nerve when you talk about him operating the sewer system, since I'm neighbors with the only pump station we have. I don't know if you've ever been in the pump. Chris, you ever been in the pump station, buddy?
Well, it's not a Town of Alta pump station; it's a service area pump station. But if they would ever invite me in there, I would. I'd hop on down the hatch for sure.
I got talked into going down there one time, man. It's frightening. It's like out of a horror movie.
But I appreciate
operating the sewer is a big deal too. You know, even though it seems like it's all going downhill, you know, you got to recognize the bright side. So I just think that it's not quite as simple as, you know, $25 just doesn't really impress me as the right number. And I think we ought to be willing to pay more. And then the two magic things are going to be, do they get benefits and including health insurance? How are we going to make them wait to get health insurance? And do we have a place for them to live? I think those would all be the critical issues.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I think you've hit on a couple things that are part of the retention piece. Right now, our part-time staff don't get those added benefits of, you know, health insurance and the URS retirement, and we would be proposing those for this. So that's why we think we think this would be a very attractive position for somebody in the community. And, you know, we've kind of looked at other employers in the canyon and said, okay, like, do they have laterals that would have this skill set? And we've been like, yes, this really is a position that we would probably be able to find somebody to fill.
Yes, historically, we've been known to poach people from the relatively nearby employers.
Myself.
Yeah,
I mean, we have,
that's not including the people talking to us here or something.
Yes.
no, but we have an attractive
Yeah,
benefit package to offer somebody.
it's a great place to work too.
We think that that'll go a long way. Yes.
So.
So on the next
slide.
Yeah, so what I did here is right now, building maintenance is kind of all over the place in our budget, mainly 4 different departments. I code stuff depending on what it is in those 4 different departments. So what I did is I just took those 4 departments and I combined them. And what we looked at was if we wanted to hire this person, what do we think the new budgets would be? So this is strictly focused on the increase to the existing budget. We would expect to be around $62,000. So that's an increase. So if today the council wanted to give staff some direction on, you know, we just don't think the time is right, or why not just start drafting something up with a little bit more meat on the bones? We are planning on a budget amendment in November. We could fine tune these numbers a little bit more and we could get them ready to present to you next month.
So you're suggesting that we already pay all this money to somebody and we would pay that person an additional $19,000.
This is the addition.
So that's where you came up with the 62.
This is the change. This is the net increase for building maintenance.
So the 62 is the increase. It's not that you've taken this.
Those are not the budgeted line items. Those are just the increases. We just figured we wanted to keep the presentation simple at this point.
But I mean, I inferred from your previous remarks that there would be some decrease in what the other departments are expending.
No.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Got it.
No, it's just.
All right.
What's the salary that results in the 19% marginal increase?
The salary for this, if you was on the first slide, we just had an hourly wage and.
24 to 30.
$52,000 is 24 times 40 hours times is 52 here.
That's why John said he thought that was a little low.
Yeah.
Okay, but.
So,
Yeah, because it's 2080 per year, right? It's 2,080 hours in a year. So at $20 an hour, I think it's supposed to be $40,000 if he's gonna be year-round, full-time.
It's
So the 19 looks low to me.
I think $24 an hour, I did
I
that.
wanna say, recall it was in the neighborhood of like mid-50s to mid-60s was the range for annual.
However, the total compensation is more than that because he's got.
Well, you all have
all
other
the
part-time
benefits.
staff
Yeah.
that are in
Yeah.
there.
It's all the benefits.
The other thing that's a little bit, I'm a little bit confused, like, aren't you still gonna have the equipment, supplies, the vehicle maintenance, the building storage unit? So you're kinda. That's a separate thing?
No, what she's saying is that stuff's gonna increase, now you've got a professional in there, they should have been doing this stuff, but the part-time people that are doing primarily, this is, the point is just shoveling snow, so they're not actually using those things, at least that would be my interpretation.
Okay,
And we'd buy them we get a computer for them to use,
Yes.
a cell phone, all those standard things that Town of Alta employees need to do their jobs. So some of this stuff is just routine FTE kinds of
Okay.
add-on costs.
Well, it sounds to me like we need this, and I would support the staff drafting up something with a little more substance to it.
I agree
Some
with that.
Radical Pro boots, movement skis, a couple things like that.
Well, the magic thing would be a place for them to live.
That would be the magic, that would be the magic.
Yeah,
part.
we don't provide employee housing
right.
currently, so,
That's the
I
magic.
I appreciate that, but it's not something that we
Not realistic.
currently.
Just to let you guys know, I can think of at least 3 people I know that would go and apply for this job that would not
Yeah.
be coming up, but they would still want this job. So,
That's
good to
very
know.
different than what you're dealing with right now, right? Because you're having a hard time trying to get the part-time fill.
I don't know if I understand your question. We have someone part-time now, which is great.
Okay,
Because-
for this coming season?
Well, just for snow shoveling.
All of our needs are not met.
Yeah,
Right,
we're
okay.
definitely not met.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think what he has been doing building maintenance wise is, that's kind of going out the window, and he just wants to work part-time and help shovel
Ski.
and ski, yeah. That's my understanding, so.
Okay, so sounded like Elise, it sounds like everybody is supportive, I'm not hearing
Yes,
that you want some more information, and we can come to the council and I can plug in some numbers maybe into the November budget amendment. To present to you.
what Elise said and
We'll
you just said.
work on the fine tuning the job description.
Yep, that's what I think we should
Should
do.
do with that.
Okay, that's what we were looking for some direction on is.
Okay.
Great,
But I tend
Thank
to
you.
do what Elise says anyway.
Good. All right, that one's settled. Next item is new business.
New business.
Any new business by the 2 of you or the 2 of you?
I had just been hearing some rumors that, and I think maybe Jen knows a little bit more about this, that I know Granite School District is trying to consolidate classrooms, and I've heard that there's been a little discussion about, they may be wanting to close up the school up here. I know they came to talk to us this summer and they were hoping that that would not be an issue, but I don't know, as a town, if that discussion keeps happening, I just want to support the school up here, obviously for my own selfish reasons, but for our community as a whole, having a school up here is beneficial.
I have not heard that.
Okay.
Councilmember Morgan. Molly kind of shook her head a little bit though, that maybe she's heard.
Yeah, I've heard probably similar, like, from another parent at the school.
Yeah,
And
I think
like
the teacher, I've heard that the teacher was having meetings with the Granite School District. Nothing would happen this year, but the teacher's been having some discussions about them trying to maybe close the school and do a 4x4 bus or something to bring the kids down. Again, I don't think there's been any official decisions, but I know it's been talked about. So it's more just putting it on everyone's radar that it sounds like there's some talk of this. And I know in the summertime, we talked about how beneficial this school was to our community. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but we'll see.
Well, I guess I would just say if you or any other parents do hear anything, I know the council has always been very supportive. We could certainly probably write a letter of support. Invite
Yeah.
them back up, or try and,
Lobby.
yes.
Yeah,
We could
Well,
hear
we'll
from
see.
them first.
We'll see what happens.
yeah, keep us advised. Yeah, I think that would be tragic.
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business? Something less alarming? All right, in that case, we're gonna have a discussion of possible action to commence a closed meeting to discuss the matter authorized by the Utah Code Section 52-42051C. Now what do we do?
Motion and second,
Yes.
and then we'll do roll call, if you'd like to.
Yeah,
I second your motion.
thank you. Roll call? No, she has to roll call.
Roll call. Versus.
Councilmember Ansel,
Yes.
Councilmember Byrne,
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan,
Yes.
Councilmember Schilling,
Yes, with the caveat that I get a brownie.
and Mayor Burke.
Yes.
Motion passes. So we will close this meeting, or excuse me, we will stop this meeting. We'll stop the recording. The council members and staff online that will be joining that meeting have been sent a separate Zoom invitation to join us. So if you want to join that after you leave this, and then we will have to convene back. There are 3 of you, so we could do it without the 2 online to close this portion of the meeting.
Cool. So I'm gonna close this window and not use it to come back.
That is perfectly fine, yes.
But you're gonna join us?
I am
In
gonna
the other
join you.
meeting.
I'm down to one last almond cookie from the mini bar, so
If you were here, you'd get a brownie.
This brownie is here.
I saw
So
that
we'll
Dan's
just-
got starfing the brownies.
So we'll
Cooked
just that
by a
I will
local
just
lady.
the public, I guess,
Yeah.
and then
See you in the next one.
You're in the next one?
I said I will see you in the next one.
Okay.
You guys are bigger